Oh, the days of my youth. It seems a long time ago now that all you wanted was a cool car to impress your friends, the girls, and of course something to have a bit of fun in. And at that time, the only sort of cool car about was hot hatchbacks. The sort of things like an XR3, an MG Metro, a Nova, a Golf GTI. I went through 3 Fiesta XR2s. But it seems I probably missed out on the one that everyone raved about, which was the Peugeot 205 GTI. There was the 1.6 and later the cooking 1.9 version. A friend of mine had them both and unfortunately kept putting them into hedges. So here is the reincarnation of the 205 GTI. I bring you the new 206 GTI. Is it still as much fun as the old one? Well, yes, absolutely. Now, it's interesting that back in the early 1990s, the hot hatchback market almost died a complete death. Kids didn't want these sort of vehicles anymore. They wanted trendy 4x4s instead. Maybe the age bracket of the GTI market has moved onwards and upwards. After all, these cars are not particularly cheap. Now, I drove the new 206 for the first time last year. Peugeot promised us that they would bring out a GTI version. Here it is, and it's great fun to drive. I have to say I'm slightly disappointed by the exterior looks of the 206 GTI. It's got, of course, alloy wheels, spoilers, a discreet GTI badge at the back, but it doesn't look very much different to the rest of the 206 range. It needs to look a bit meaner, a bit more aggressive, but who knows, maybe Peugeot are saving that up for an even hotter version of the 206 GTI. It's just possible, you know. So many people hark back to the old 205 GTI that, in a way, this 206 version has a real tough act to follow. It's very difficult to say whether the 206 GTI now is as good as the 205 when it was introduced. Times have changed so much, along of course with modern technology, but the 206 is almost alone in the marketplace as a small hot hatch. There's no Fiesta or Corsa equivalent. You really have to look to cars like the Puma to find rivals for the 206 GTI, something I'm sure Peugeot won't be too worried about. So what's the GTI really like to drive? Well, it's all about having fun. The engine is just glorious. You can rev it and rev it right the way round to the 6,500 RPM red line, no problem at all. It's great for just tootling around town, but find some open road and open her up and let her go. In second gear, you can get to nearly 70 miles per hour. The gear change is crisp, if not a little long in the throw. The clutch is gentle, the steering absolutely precise. Head into a corner, make a couple of corrections on the steering, and you'll be out the other end, no problem at all. It goes exactly where you point it, particularly coming around a roundabout, say, where other cars tend to drift. This is just precise, it's spot on. Now, I do have a couple of moans, and these are about the 206 range in general, not just the GTI. The first is that because of the steeply raked front bonnet, you have no idea where the front bumper is, which makes it rather difficult for parking. One of the whole ideas of buying a small car is to be able to maneuver it easily into tight spaces, but if you can't see and judge where the front of the car is, that makes life very difficult. The second is the 206 has quite the worst visibility through a rear view mirror I have ever come across. Now, in most cars, you look behind your rear view mirror, you can see a full image of the car behind you. In this, it chops off about half of the car. I don't know whether that's because of the rear screen or where the mirror is positioned, but it really is bad. And in something like this GTI version, you want to be keeping a close lookout behind you for those boys in blue. Okay, here comes the technical bit. You get a new EW10 J4 engine in the 206 GTI, which is a 2-litre 16-valve overhead cam unit producing 137 brake horsepower. It drives the front wheels through a 5-speed gearbox, and the chassis and suspension have been adapted to suit the GTI. You get disc brakes all round, ABS, and of course it's built in the Ryton plant at Coventry. Performance out on the road feels really great. Official figures give the 0 to 60 time as about 8.5 seconds at a top speed of 130 miles an hour, but in reality it feels quicker like that. The ride is firm, as you would expect with this sort of car, but not perhaps as raw as some of its predecessors. Now, although I've said this car is quick, you get the feeling that maybe Peugeot are holding something back with this particular GTI, and that maybe something a bit quicker, something a bit hotter, like they did with the 306 range, is on the cards. The interior of the 206 GTI, I have to say, is very smart. It's a mixture of cloth, leather and Alcantara seats. You get automatic digital air conditioning as standard, although unfortunately we didn't have it on our test car. You also get dual airbags, CD auto changer, alarm and deadlocks, and the option of satellite navigation too. Plus these great drilled pedals and the alloy gear lever, all for a great on-the-road price of £13,995. For those of us who really enjoy our motoring, who like to take cars out and have a bit of fun, the Peugeot 206 GTI is what it's all about. It's smile on your face motoring. Faced with an evening of nothing on the telly, this is the sort of car that would make you pick up the keys and go out for a drive just for the sheer hell of it. In fact, I think I'd even miss one or two of my favourite programmes to do just that.